Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It is Smalls. Now in today's video we are going to be reviewing two Roblox games. One is called Mini Cities and the other one is called Itty Bitty City. Now one of the main reasons I'm making this video is because one costs Robux to play and the other one is free. Now I'm making this video to see if it's worth paying for it or is just the free version better. Now first let's talk about price. So Mini Cities is free, Itty Bitty City is paid. It's only 35 Robux, which is really cheap, but the minimum amount of Robux you can buy is $1, which is 80 Robux. Now next up is the UI. So for Mini Cities, I'm going to give it an X on this one, and for Itty Bitty City, I'm going to give it a check mark. So the UI for Mini Cities is very small, it's hard to see, and a lot of the colors contrast. It's a white with a gray font, especially with it being tiny, it's very hard to see. You are going to have to squint quite a bit, especially to be able to play this game. But for Itty Bitty City, the text is much larger, it's easier to navigate, and it's just overall bigger, which is so great for both PC and mobile. Now next is microtransactions. I'm gonna keep it as neutral for both of these just because they both do have microtransactions. They just aren't really necessary to progress or necessary for gameplay. Now Mini City only has one game pass and it's only an expansion plot. Really isn't necessary because the expansion plot is pretty large, much larger than Itty Bitty City, mind you, but it really isn't necessary for gameplay just because it is really large. When you join your game, you'll be able to tell that it's really large. Now Itty Bitty City has 5 game passes, so an expansion increase, height increase, more buildings, and infinite money. They aren't necessary, but if you do want more freedom in the gameplay aspect, you can buy them, but like I said, they are really necessary, at least in my personal opinion. Now next up are the interesting features that some of the games offer. Now Mini Cities doesn't really have a lot of interesting features. Now you can interact with the bus stations. They do also have an airport, but it's more of an aesthetic thing than practical. With the bus stations you can earn money from them, not from the airport though. Mini Cities does have more complex stats. Now in terms of Itty Bitty City, it does have moving structures, customizable roads, a working fire station, and merging buildings, which is really cool. And what I mean by the customizable roads is you can really put them wherever you want. They curve, which is really interesting, something that Mini Cities doesn't have. And next up is whether these games are optimized for mobile. Now I know a lot of people probably don't play on mobile, but I know a lot of the time Roblox games aren't really optimized well for mobile, or sometimes they're just very slightly optimized for mobile. Now Mini Cities is kind of optimized for mobile. I'm going to give it a neutral for this one, just because the more you place and expand your city, it starts lagging your phone, it starts lagging your device, which isn't really great, especially for people that have low-end devices. Now also the controls aren't great for mobile. They're a little hard to use, but they're not as hard as you think. Now Itty Bitty City has great controls, but it could be improved on. The UI is easy to see. The phone overheats. I mean, also in Mini Cities your phone overheats as well. Now it lags a lot less than Mini Cities, especially when you first join the game and your city's loading. Itty Bitty City lags a lot less. Now leaving and rejoining does sometimes fix that, but it is annoying, especially if you don't want to be doing that. Now overall, Mini Cities gets 2 check marks, 2 X's, and 2 neutrals, and Itty Bitty City gets 4 check marks, 1 X, and 1 neutral. Now I just have to say that Mini Cities 2 is in the works, so if you don't want to pay for Itty Bitty City, or you do, you might want to wait till that releases, just because it isn't out, but there has been a lot of leaks. A lot of the features that are in Itty Bitty City will be releasing on Mini Cities 2, but a lot of them aren't confirmed yet. But first off, let's talk about the things that I don't like. So Mini Cities, the UI isn't the best. It's very tiny. Aside from that, the AI traffic, the city doesn't feel too lively. It doesn't, feel like there's actually something going on. You can turn off the AI traffic, especially if you're on a low-end mobile device, just so it doesn't lag your phone. And Itty Bitty City doesn't have an option to delete cities, which is kind of annoying. The controls take a little getting used to, especially if you've played Mini Cities in the past. And there's also very limited buildings, which sucks, but this game is fairly new. This game just released this year in February. Mini-Cities released back in 2020 in October. Now, my conclusion is that Mini-Cities is a great game. Aside from the lag, tiny text, I think it's worth playing, especially since it's free. If you do have a good PC or phone, give it a shot. If you have a low-end phone, it might struggle to keep up, but just don't expand too much or place too many things in your city. Trust me, there's a ton of plots that you can increase to or expand to, but I think just doing that might lag your phone even more, so don't expand too much. It's also free, like I said, so it doesn't hurt to try it. Now, Itty Bitty City is a paid game, so people aren't always going to be so willing to spend money, especially if you're a kid. Your parents might not be so willing to spend money in games that you play. Now, there is a lot of customizable material inside Itty Bitty City, especially with the lack of buildings. You can make some custom buildings. They also give you some extra blocks that you can use to make those custom buildings kind of pop or make it more your own. This game is also great for both PC and mobile, including low-end devices, especially since there isn't much expansion, although it does lag every so often. Now, it's only 35 Robux. It's cheap, but is it worth it? Now, if you do have the Robux to spend, I think it's worth giving it a shot. But aside from if you don't, I wouldn't recommend it, just because this game is new and doesn't have a lot of content. And there's really nothing that makes you come back to the game, especially since the only update they've made since release is the fire truck update, which was not great. They just added the fire station. Now, Mini-Cities has had 3 years to release updates. Itty Bitty City has only had a few months. And even though it's pretty cheap, I wouldn't recommend it, especially if you don't have the Robux to spend. It's really not worth it. Although they've only had a few months to release updates, it's really lackluster. There's not really anything that makes you want to come back to the game. And also, Mini-Cities 2 is going to release with a lot of the features that Itty Bitty City does have, especially with the customizable roads and the merging of buildings, although I have heard that the merging of buildings will be behind a Game Pass, which absolutely sucks. But there's not really a lot of content. Even the other games for the Itty Bitty series also suffer from a lack of content. I wouldn't recommend it. You complete the game in just a few hours, like unlock everything in just a few hours, and from there on you have to really use your creativity to make custom buildings and stuff like that. Overall, Mini-Cities takes the throne. Itty Bitty City is just better overall, like, don't get me wrong. The UI is great, the gameplay is great, but a lot of it is just very similar to Mini-Cities. Well, anyways, I really hope you guys made your pick to see what game is better. But if you guys did enjoy, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and leave a comment down below. And also make sure to check out the Discord link down in the description. And also, if you want to see more gameplay for Itty Bitty City, since I didn't really show a lot this video, I did make a video earlier this week. So if you want to check it out, I will leave it linked down in the description. But anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Show me your with it. Iced out teeth. She loves when I grin it.
You know I'ma tell you what to do.